Without any further delay, I wanted to introduce our second speaker. Fatima Iqbal-Zubair is an upcoming young social activist and also a politician. She is a 2022 candidate for California State Assembly, member of the elected Executive Board of California Democratic Party, and also a Muslim Caucus of America board member. Fatima Iqbal-Zubair, floor for you, ma'am.
Thank you. Can you all hear me or can you fight? Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace be upon you. I'm so honored to be here and to be able to speak to you on this very important topic. I'll start with this. While I am Sri Lankan Muslim by heritage, and I visited my homeland so many times throughout my life, I've lived in Canada and the US for most of my childhood through adulthood. First asked to speak on this topic, I wondered if I had enough authority, enough lived experience to speak on this particular systemic issue happening in Sri Lanka. My organizing work, my activism has been centered around marginalized communities in South Los Angeles, in some of the poorest communities in California, against environmental racism, criminal injustices, educational inequities, and discrimination around Black and Brown students and communities. But then I realized my insecurity is the exact reason the international community or privileged community uses as an excuse to not hear the cries, the hearts, the minds of those being oppressed. And I thought about how I would feel if there were those who did not care about my students or did not care about a Muslim woman like me in a hijab whose mom was spat upon right after 9/11. You see, it's our collective duty to uplift not just our voice, but the voices of all those whose human rights are being violated. Because it's in that collective solidarity that we can move the needle towards justice. If we don't speak up, who will? And if not now, when we have time and the chance to change the tide, then when? The broader scope of the discrimination happening in Sri Lanka against Muslims, you see, it's not unique. In fact, it's very similar to what I've experienced in my work as an organizer and as a Muslim woman in the US. And oftentimes, it's related to a politics that's based in money, in power, in superiority of one race over another or one religion over another, with the absence of love, compassion, and collective solidarity. It is constructed of capitalistic, nationalistic tendencies, where one group of people know a system that does not want to lose its power, takes and takes, leaving other minority groups more marginalized, forgotten, and sometimes disposed of. This story is the story of many places in the world, in South Los Angeles, where I taught, in Myanmar, in Armenia, in China, and in Sri Lanka. We know that so much of discrimination is systemic. And oftentimes, systemic discrimination is not just rooted in law. It is often nuanced, but this doesn't make it any less real for those who are victimized as a result of it. For Muslims in Sri Lanka, their fundamental rights to live and die with dignity are being systematically and overtly violated. This started with forced cremation, which is against the Muslim faith of our loved ones who have passed away. It has occurred through false rumors that the Muslim community carried the highest rate of risk in spreading COVID-19, a sentiment that continues to be heard amongst the media and the public. But over the past decade, it's occurred through looting and rioting at Muslim businesses and calls to boycott Muslim businesses. It's also occurring through trying to take away a Muslim woman's right to wear the religious attire if she chooses to do so. When our religious and economic freedoms and rights are being trampled upon, then we know it's gone too far. And the truth is, the government's stance in Sri Lanka has been careless of the rights of the Muslim community. At its worst, it is discriminatory. This is not new, but a phenomenon of a majority government that has shown extreme disregard for many minority communities in Sri Lanka, including the Muslim community. And all this for political gain. Again, I'll repeat this, for money, for power, for supremacy. It is important we not only speak up, but act against the systemic targeting of the Muslim community to prevent further escalation and disruption of peace in what I know is a beautiful country. We must demand justice. This includes the end of the measures targeted at minorities, investigations into violations, like Dr. Khalek and Sister Soraya talked about, against minorities, identifying and prosecuting individuals who have committed these discriminatory acts, but also it means the ability to live, work, and practice our religion freely. I want to end with a hope of what is possible if we do bring justice to all minorities, including Muslims. In my mind, when we do this, everybody wins. You know, Sri Lanka, what I love about Sri Lanka is that it's unique in its diverse cultures, in its diverse history, in its diverse peoples. We can and must capitalize on the possibilities and talents that every community brings. We must understand that once we do that, we will have a better country, society, and culture for it. This is possible, but it will require a fundamental shift in what is currently valued in Sri Lanka, in those places of power, and in many places around the world. It will require a shift away from a nationalistic sort of politics, one that is rooted in power, in money, in greed, and a shift towards a government that is centered on the collective good of all, one that can have love and compassion as the main driver. This is why we bring this, this report highlighting the discrimination towards Sri Lankan Muslims at the end of our session forward and to light, so that it will go under the scope of the international community. We can achieve a Sri Lanka rooted in this love and compassion if we all continue to speak out and move the needle towards justice as we are doing today. And if we continue to do so, I know we will get there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatima Iqbal-Zubair. That was a wonderful speech. You brought up almost all the subjects. One important subject I noticed that she brought up, the boycotting the Muslim businesses. That's a huge in Sri Lanka. Especially during or just before the Sinhalese festival or Sinhalese or Christmas time. You will see the flyers everywhere are posted. Don't go to Muslim businesses. Don't buy from them. I heard it recently, even the assignment which come from the overseas under the Muslim companies and are not being even released. That's something, how even the hierarchy working against. Another allegation against a Muslim always brought forward is the Muslim does not contribute to the country's growth. This is a gross exaggeration. If you remember, if you follow up politics, maybe a few years ago, Sri Lankan finance minister was talking about it. Muslims are the biggest contributors for foreign exchange earning for Sri Lanka. Almost more than 50% of the apparel companies which exports the finished garments belong to Muslims and it exclusively goes to overseas. So it is very, very underestimated and always allegation against Muslim to show the majority people we are not contributing. That's a false allegation. In fact, we are the major foreign earners for Sri Lankan economy. They need to understand that.